Collapse and comeback. 15 million people spat into a small plastic tube, sealed it, and mailed away the most personal thing they owned, their own DNA. It helped build a company worth roughly $6 billion. And then that company ran straight into a problem no marketing budget could fix. Almost none of those 15 million people ever needed to buy anything from it again. The company was 23andMe, named for the 23 pairs of chromosomes packed inside nearly every human cell. It launched in 2006 with a co-founder, Sicki, and a genuinely radical pitch. For about the price of a nice dinner, mail in a little saliva and read the story written in your genes, where your ancestors came from, and whether you carried the markers for certain traits and diseases. For years it felt like magic. Spit, wait a few weeks, and a website told you that you were a few percent Neanderthal or that your family line traced back to one corner of the world. It became a holiday gift, a party trick, a real cultural moment. By 2021, the moment peaked. 23andMe went public by merging with a shell company backed by Richard Branson's Virgin Group, a fast-track route onto the stock market that valued the business at about $3.5 billion. Within days of listing, investors pushed it close to $6 billion. Sicki was, on paper, one of the most successful self-made women in America. 15 million people had taken the test, and the future looked like a map of human health drawn from one of the largest private DNA libraries on Earth. But underneath the celebration sat a simple, brutal flaw. A DNA test is something you buy once. Your ancestry does not change. Your genome does not change. Once you have spat in the tube and read your results, there is almost nothing left to sell you. Most companies survive on customers who come back, a coffee every morning, a subscription every month. 23andMe had built a product almost designed to be bought a single time, and then never again. You can see the trap in the revenue. Sales climbed while the idea was still novel: new customers, holiday kits, a splashy stock listing. Then the pool of people who both wanted the test and had not already taken it began to empty. By its 2024 financial year, revenue had fallen to about $220 million, down from nearly $300 million the year before, and the company had never once turned an annual profit since going public. 23andMe knew this. Its real bet was never the spit kit. It was the data. 15 million genomes, it argued, could power the discovery of new medicines. In 2018, it signed a landmark deal with the drug giant GSK to hunt for drug targets inside that genetic library. For a while, it looked like the escape hatch. Sell the test cheaply, keep the DNA, and get rich turning biology into blockbuster drugs. But drug development is slow, brutally expensive, and mostly fails. The exclusive GSK partnership wound down in 2023, and the promised pipeline of profits never arrived in time. Then came the event that broke the trust. In October 2023, 23andMe disclosed that hackers had gotten in. They had not smashed through the front door. They quietly walked in using passwords stolen from other websites, a trick called credential stuffing. Only about 14,000 accounts were entered directly. But 23andMe's whole appeal was connection, a feature that linked you to genetic relatives. And through those links, the attackers pulled personal information on roughly 6.9 million people. Names, birth years, ancestry, and in some cases health-related details. For a company whose entire product was trust with your most private data, it was a nightmare. Regulators opened investigations. Customers filed suit. 23andMe eventually agreed to a settlement of around $30 million. Its stock, once near a $6 billion valuation, sank toward pennies a share. And in 2024, nearly the entire independent board resigned in a single move, publicly at odds with the founder over the company's direction. By March 2025, there was nowhere left to go. 23andMe filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the legal process a company uses to reorganize or sell itself off under a court's protection. Ann Wojcicki resigned as chief executive the same day, though she kept her seat on the board. The company that had mapped 15 million genomes could no longer map a way to stay in business. And now, its single most valuable asset was going up for sale, the DNA itself. What followed was a fight over that genetic library. A pharmaceutical company, Regeneron, bid $256 million for the business. Then the auction was reopened, and a non-profit research institute founded by Ann Wojcicki herself came back with a higher offer, around $305 million. In mid-2025, a bankruptcy court approved that bid. The founder, in effect, bought her own company back out of its ashes, promising to protect the data she had spent nearly 20 years collecting. Which raised the question millions of former customers suddenly asked. What happens to my DNA when the company holding it goes bankrupt? Several U.S. state attorneys general urged people to log in and delete their genetic data before any sale closed. During the bankruptcy, a court-appointed privacy examiner reviewed how customer information could be transferred, and the buyer pledged to honor the existing privacy promises. But the deeper lesson was hard to unsee. Once you mail your genome to a company, its fate and its future owners are no longer fully in your hands. 23andMe did not fail because the science was fake or the product was bad. It failed because it answered a question so completely that you only ever had to ask it once. 15 million people spat in a tube, and the company built on that single act slowly, quietly ran out of anyone left to sell to. The takeaway is simple. A company is only ever as durable as its reason for a customer to come back. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe. New collapses and comebacks land 3 times a week.